Assalamualaikum and welcome to a new video in the talk series. Today's video is going to be answering a question that was asked today, and the person, I think is called Ruqa'a. They asked, it is said that Meem should have always an open eye and filled. It is recommended, but most oftenly, I guess, I have seen a filled eye of Meem except in the Kufi. Now here we have a very important note that we will start with, and that is we have tens of different scripts out there in the Arabic calligraphy. We will come to this later. So the idea that is the Meem should be filled or open is depending on the script itself, not on the Meem itself. Now, if we took what the person suggested, that in Kufi we have open Meems, that would be the normal Kufi, the Kufi Fatimi. The normal Kufi is an open eye for the Meem, as we can see here, regardless of the shape. So we could have it circular or in this beautiful shape, decorative shape. Now in the Kufi Qayrawani, for example, although we are still in Kufi, the Meem is the same shape, but it's a bit different. So the Meem in that script, the opening is barely visible. And if you went back and saw some manuscripts, you'll find that, wow, they really closed the Meem. So even in Kufi, we do have some very closed Meems, although they still have openings, but we do have a kind of a zone where the Meem is almost closed. Now, if we took other scripts, for example, the Naskh, now there's a script called Naskhi, which is way older than the Naskh, but they both have similar shapes in them. So in the Naskh, we have the Meem, which is relatively always open. Even in the middle, it would be open. Now, in the same script, we do have other Meems that are closed. This one and the one in the middle that looks like this. And you will find it in the Quran. Again, we have a middle Meem that is open, this one, and at the end of the end Meem, which is something we see a lot in Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, you will find this shape that is open. But again, whether it was like this small tail or the tail below. But we also have this Meem that is closed. So it depends on each script. So for Naskh, you have two shapes. You've got it open and closed. If you saw someone doing this, this is not correct. This is incorrect. Because you have to use this Meem. We will come to this later, why this and that. Again, with the Thuluth, we have the same thing, but let's give a different shape. For example, in the Prophet's name, it is usually written with this Meem. Then we've got the Ha, and we have this closed Meem. So again, we have an open one and a closed one in the same word. So open, closed. So in the script itself, we have those options. Other types that are relatively rare for us in the Middle East and Islam region is the Moroccan one. So in Morocco and the Northern African, Northern African countries like Algeria, Tunisia, they use the Maghribi, which is really pretty. And for that one, the Meem is usually open, it's not closed. Now the pen is different. To write this script, you use a sort of this pen, not the chamfered, not the cut one. But anyway, the Meem is open in that script. Now here comes to why do you often see it closed? It is down to two main scripts, the Farsi and the Ruqa'a. So for the Farsi, we have this closed Meem, and also the one that comes at the end of words, which is going down and coming back. And in some cases, I think we do use this one in some cases. So for the Farsi, which is used a lot in the Stan region, Persia, Pakistan, Afghanistan, all those areas, they use Farsi for billboards, newspapers, the handwritten style. You use Farsi because it's quick to write and it's very familiar for us. So that's why we keep seeing the closed one. In Middle East, in Arabian countries, you will see Ruqa'a to be the dominant one because it is quick and easy to write, and most handwritten scripts are used in Ruqa'a. That's why the majority of my handwriting is Ruqa'a in general. Also, since we've uploaded the Diwani, some people would see that the Diwani also has a closed Meem, although not everyone uses it. But again, it's those two who are sort of familiar, and we see them every time we go or find a script. Now, I hope this answers the question, why do we often see a closed Meem? It's not because should the Meem be open or closed. No, it's because the majority of us use Farsi and Ruqa'a for our daily handwritten pieces. Now, a question might rise up, which is why? Why do we have a closed one and an open one? And although it's a 3 letters question, the answer for this question is just way too big to be sort of summarized in one video. But it all goes back to the origin of each letter. It's basically, why do letters look like this? You have to go back to the original alphabet where it was first created and when people start writing, and you will start to see similarities between those things. I will just give a couple of examples. The letter Meem itself, if you went back enough to the Nabatean and those times, it looks like BC kind of, yeah, but not for a long time. You will find that the Meem is circular. Although before the circular shape there were different shapes. But again, the person who came in and decided that it should look like this, that's when we started to have an open inside it. The same thing goes for the letter Ain. So that letter Ain in the middle used to look like this. The Kufi is the closest one to this one by closing the top part, and it would look like this. So someone might ask, how did we end up from this simple shape to a Ain, for example, in a Thuluth that looks like this? Now, here I've got only 2 sides. How did it end up having curves and sort of scales and percentages? How did you end up to this shape, although we started with this one? This happens in all scripts, whether it was Semitic or Latin or whatever it was. Depending on the culture that it was sort of introduced in, and there are other factors that affect it, this way people start to improve on these shapes. Now, in general, we have kind of similarities between them. So, as we said, the alphabet that it was derived from, because you start with some main civilizations that lived for a very long time, that they were able to establish a solid amount of knowledge and practices with regards to writing, because writing is not an easy thing. The idea of us recording our history through writing is a huge deal, by the way. Now, these 3 started to divide into, they are not 3, they are more than like kind of different than this, but let's assume that they were 3. Each one of them is divided depending on its history, and each one of these will give us different divisions. Some civilizations would disappear, others would survive. So what we are left with are those the strongest with the most abundant, let's say, cultural value. Now, a very important aspect about Arabic is that why do we have so many varieties of these scripts, and some of them are really different from each other. And a big role is acknowledged to Islam, the religion itself, because the same thing happens or happened for a Hebrew alphabet, because it was based on Judaism, and a religion preserves the language, and preserving the language means we preserve the alphabet that we use to communicate with it. Although in Hebrew it did not have the wide range of artistic, let's say, attributions from generations coming afterwards, in Islam the difference is that it did spread on a global scale. So if you were to imagine that basically a lot of areas on earth were considered Muslim back in the day. So although it started with the Jazirat al-Arab in Hijaz, Mecca and Medina, those people did start with the Kufi and those styles, but when it spread to Kufa and Iraq, although Kufa wasn't built yet, there was the other types of scripts there. And then when it went on to Persia and the Stan region, the same thing to the northern region, Turkey and all these areas, and to the western part of Africa, all the way to Morocco and all these areas, each combination of people invested and they added their part of the culture into the script itself. And since the Quran is written in Arabic, they all had to participate into making the Arabic language look prettier. And this is why we have a huge, in my personal opinion, this is the main reason why do we have so many Arabian scripts, basically. Now, some would say, okay, well, it got everywhere, that's why it was preserved, and that's why people started to sort of participate by adding some of their taste into the script. But who are those people? Now, generally, when the script started to taking shape because of the Quran, people started to go back to the engineering part of the script. So why would I simply have a circle to describe a meme while I can find proportions to make it look more pleasant to the eye? I would have sharper edges, I would have things that are different. I will change the tool that I use to write the letter in order for it to look prettier. So in general, it did play a huge role that people wanted to make the script itself look pretty, because what is written with it is something of a big value. And that's what basically added more shapes and tastes to the Arabic calligraphy. Now, another factor that played a good role into having a variety of scripts is the purpose of the scripts. So, for example, the naskhi basically means copying, not the naskhi, which it was before this one. They used it to copy the Holy Quran, and they wanted a very clear, very sort of beautiful script to keep the Holy Quran in it. And that's why it was invented, for a religious reason and for a practical reason, which is to copy it in a very unified and easy to understand script. Other scripts, for example, the Ruqa'a. By the way, scripts are derived from each other. So, for example, as we said here, we've got the ayn, it looked like this in the original one. With time, it was improved into this one. So you will find similarities, although in other letters, you might find them really different from each other. For example, if you went back enough, you will find that the alif looked something like this in ancient scripts, or something with an angle like this. You would never be able to read this. I mean, if you went back to the manuscripts, you would be like, how on earth does the alif have a very long right tail? In the Kufi, you will find this like very small. In the Maghrib, I reckon you could find that too. But in other scripts, no. For example, if you took this alif, looks like this in original scripts, how did this turn into the thuluth one, which is very kind of different? How did he end up with this one, starting with a very basic shape? Again, it's all the reasons that we mentioned before. Now, the idea of closing a meme or a waw or something like that also comes back to some later calligraphers wanting to keep the essence of the original scripts. For example, in Naskh, you will find something that looks like this. If you went for an alif, some calligraphers add a key down here. Now, you won't see it often, but this key is the same one as in the Kufi, which is going down here. So those two, this one is derived from this one, keeping some let's say feelings and ideas from the original scripts. Another example would be the waw. So in Naskh, usually you would see this waw. Some styles, they add a dot here to make it look smaller. It's the same thing for the Kufi. Back in the day, the waw would be very closed here. You basically have a very big, lively letter and a small opening in here. So these two are similar to each other. And that's the thing. An artist would come in and they would say, this is what we have so far, and we want it to look better, so I am going to add these shapes. And I hope this explains some of questions that we might have in our mind as why do we have these letters, which shape is correct. All of them are correct, but you have to use them in the same script. You can't use this meme and put it in the Diwani. That's wrong. And yeah, I hope this was informative, and see you in the next video. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.